This episode of Twin Cities Trekkies is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor before, let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that help you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership required. They'll also help you to distribute your podcast so it can be heard on many different platforms, such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's all you need in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of Twin Cities Trekkies. I am Wes.
And I'm Kenzie.
And today, this is going to be kind of like the first of probably like a multi-episode kind of series. We have set photos leaked to the public for Picard Season 2, which started filming back in February. We had our first teaser trailer during the first contact day news day that we had back in April, and now we have set photos leaked from people who were just there taking pictures for some reason, like they were visiting California or during the pandemic and stuff like that. So we have only a few, but it's going to be interesting to see
Still
what
really
happens.
Exciting.
It definitely exciting. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be speculation has probably gone through the roof ever since these pictures were released. So,
and also, like, another thing that's been happening is a lot of Star Trek actors like posting really vague tweets, and everyone get really excited. Like we've had LeVar Burton make really vague tweets, as well as Worf, and it's like, does that mean you guys are going to show up? And it's like, oh no, sorry, or like, we can't say, or I wouldn't say so. And it just, like, it's so crazy because everyone's so excited for all the new content coming out, that it's like every little thing, like when someone just posts something little, like, I'm really excited for Star Trek coming up, it's like, does that mean you're going to be in it? I'm just wondering, like, I get so excited about it.
So get in touch with us is tctrekkiespodcast@gmail.com is our email address. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. The handle is tctrekkiespod for both. Feedback can also be an audio version too. You can also find it on anchor.fm/Twin Cities Trekkies. There's a little button there. You can leave a voice message that way. I think there is from that. But just keep in mind, any feedback you may use may be featured in an upcoming episode of this podcast. All right, so Picard Season 2. We know it's going to be released in 2022. We know that.
Yep.
for sure. We know Q is returning. We know, but we don't know much more about that. Other than Picard saying the final frontier is about time. So we have a few set photos released in the last couple of weeks. And it was just like innocent people who were like, took innocent pictures. They were around Southern California where Picard is filmed. Not at Paramount, but it's actually a different studio. That's actually a different studio. So season two was already being renewed, was already going to happen. before season one came out.
Yeah.
They announced it like a day or two after season one had premiered, back in last January. But now we have a few set photos, and I don't know. Have you seen them, Kenzie?
I've seen, yeah, the bus, and then seeing Seven of Nine and them sitting on the bus. That's kind of like, like
Yeah,
I've seen those. Those are the ones I've only seen, but
there was
I
one
haven't.
with Sir Patrick Stewart, and the actor who played the android who said "hell, like f yeah," and
Yeah.
sitting on the steps of the Disney Auditorium in Anaheim, California, and it had this like Klingon Federation mixed flag.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
we don't know very much about it because we have a new showrunner, by the way, Terry Matalas, who actually his one of his first jobs actually was on Star Trek. Actually, he was a writer on season 3 of Enterprise. I know
Okay.
that. Yep. So he had worked for Star Trek before. He co-wrote the story for Impulse, the one with T'Pol having the Trillium D affect her mind, and she was murderous and stuff like that,
Yeah.
with the zombie Vulcans. So he co-wrote the story for that. I know that for sure, and I think he did that. And then he's done a few other shows since, and he's done a lot of like time travel kind of stories for TV. So I think I think season two is gonna like Patrick Stewart even said there's gonna be periods of Picard's life we haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's super
Which could
cool.
mean Stargazer era. It could mean early Enterprise D era. Who knows? Like we saw the Enterprise D in the very first episode of Picard. It was the
Hmm.
first time we actually saw it since the finale of Enterprise. Um, but so it was like 15 years in between appearances in real time. But I think season two is gonna involve some alternate reality slash time travel.
Yeah.
Um, which
Yeah, given that they're just on like a bus sitting together, I'm like
yeah,
interesting.
Seven and Raffi are sitting on a bus. Kind of like have a little because everyone was thinking, oh, this is like Voyage Home vibes here.
Yeah. I'm like, I wonder if that's what's going to be going on here, or like what, like if we're going back in time to the early 21st century or something.
Yeah, and I know we don't know exactly what time period. Q is the one who probably could be involved with this time travel
Yeah.
because he did it
I feel like it's
before.
going to be something like, I feel like Q's going to show up because he wants to teach Picard something, and it's like that means you having to look back into your life or look at all these different moments in time that I think are important, and maybe they'll touch on really important like milestones of Star Trek in timelines, like
Hmm.
where they've come back and kind of interacted with different timelines or different time periods. And maybe it has something to do with that, where he's just like bringing him through, kind of being a ghost of Christmas past kind of vibe. So I'm like, is that
Hmm.
what Q's going to end up being for Picard? Is this like a Christmas Carol vibe of like bringing him through time and being like, look at this, look at that. Here's what you need to do next, man,
Yeah, exactly.
because I'm your friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's actually said that once. He said
Mhm.
Picard is the closest thing he has to a friend. One point. But
Which is funny coming from him because it's like,
yeah, it is funny.
really?
Yeah, and it's like interesting to see, like, are we going to get a lot different vibes and a lot of different, are we going to get a young Picard too? Because I know there are several actors who could play Picard now, younger
Mm-hmm.
actors. I've heard like I forgot his name now, but he looks exactly like Patrick Stewart. If it was like, because I think he did it before for when he was in X-Men.
Yeah.
I forgot his name now. I think it was James something. I don't remember his name. If you guys remember his name, let us know. But I can't really think of his name at the moment. But something like that. He played
James McAvoy as
yes,
I'm like, James something. Like,
yes. Thank
what
you,
James
Kenzie. That's
McAvoy? James
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of. Because he played a younger version of
Professor X.
Xavier in the X-Men films. So James McAvoy. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, no, he's lobbied to play a younger Picard before. I mean, when Picard was first announced, I know he had come out and said, "Okay, if you guys need a younger Picard, call me up. I'll do it." Um, because
Yeah.
yeah, no, I remember him saying that when Picard was first announced and stuff like that. So, I think this is going to be the most exciting season yet of Picard. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoyed season one. I actually really did enjoy the way it ended.
Yeah.
Unlike I
I feel like it's a nice way to like see a different perspective, like someone who's always written as like the good guy, or as someone who never makes a mistake, to see a little more humanity injected into Picard, who has been through a lot of really giant, painstaking moments in his life and
Mhm,
decisions that don't always end well. And like actually seeing someone navigate repercussions, which is inevitable with most people's lives. Like you're always going to have decisions and like major events in your life that might not go the way you want them to, even if you were well intentioned in them. And we see Picard, despite being someone who has been like usually a very noble and amazing person, kind of fall from grace because people are angry about the decision making that he had made, which no
mhm.
matter how amazing of a person he is, he's still somehow getting shamed and lauded for that. So I really like Ricard for that, even if some people are like, I don't like how they're writing him and it's because of wokeness or whatever. I've seen people try to say it's because of woke culture to be like villainizing a white man type of thing. And it's like, no, I
No,
don't think so, but it's
I
definitely more adding more complexity to a character.
yeah, and it's like, I know that originally, this whole series started as a short trek idea. At one point, a short treks
Yeah.
episode idea. Because at one point, Kurtzman wanted to do like a short treks episode of like where is Picard now kind of episode, and
Yeah.
this is where it all born out of, was actually a short treks episode. But Stewart had said numerous times after Nemesis, he had been approached several times to play Picard in a future like film or TV show or something like that, and he turned them all down. And he was so intent of turning them down, like Kurtzman. It was Kurtzman, Kristen Beyer, Michael Chabon, and Akiva Goldsman. The four of them met with Stewart, and he was perfectly intent on turning them down, saying, "I've done that. I want to do something else." Been there, done that kind of feeling. But it was all born out of a short tracks episode. So that's what I understand about Picard.
Yeah, that's cool though.
But that he was so intrigued by what they were saying to him is like, okay, come up with like what you want to do with Picard, and I will listen to you further. And so they just wrote up this document, and saying like, oh, this is what we want to do with Picard. He's very much different, that kind of thing. And he said, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah,
And
sure.
that's when the announcement came at Star Trek Las Vegas in 2018, saying
Yep.
Jean-Luc Picard is back. Um, and to the raucous audience, because I remember when that was announced, everyone was going like, "What? What? You should have done this. You should
Yeah.
have done this first." It's like, why didn't you do this first? And I remember some people were
That's
going
so
like this.
wild.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this is going to be the most exciting season yet of Star Trek Picard, because I've always been a big fan of time travel, um, especially the fish out of water scenario, like in the voyage home, or or in First Contact, you know, Troy getting drunk on tequila.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen. I mean, I bet you Q has gonna start something to do with it because he did it before in the finale of Next Generation and stuff like that. I have a feeling this is gonna be a continuation of the story from Tapestry, actually. Um,
Yeah.
because he brought Picard, to the time where he was stabbed through the heart and going like, I regret. Picard even told him like, I regret a lot of things from my youth because of that, because I was
Yeah.
arrogant and cocky when I was that young, and I had to be impaled to the
Hmm.
back before I learned that lesson. Um, so it's like, you know, are
Yeah,
we
it's
gonna?
something that haunts him.
Yeah, exactly. He had, he had regrets, and this is probably part of it. I, I think you're going to see an alternate timeline where the Klingon and Federation are together for some reason, and or it's more of a militaristic Starfleet. Who knows? Um,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna be a lot of time travel, a lot of like, especially probably back in the 21st century, maybe because there's like a little advertisement for like an interplanetary travel on the bus. So
Yeah.
on the bus
That'd be kind of cool.
where Raffi and Seven are. So maybe they'll have some like, kind of like a voyage home type of conversation about the swearing. because
Hmm.
because I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think Seven ever swore in Picard season one. I know she was like,
Yeah.
I know she had been disillusioned from Starfleet, that kind of thing. She left Starfleet, that kind of thing. But I don't think she ever swore. So I mean, Raffi could be teaching Seven how to swear.
Yeah.
On that,
Connect to her human side even more, like
yeah.
finding ways to branch out. Because I mean, Seven has never really gotten to be like very vengeful or even angry. Like even when she has had her moments of like wanting to almost be vengeful, or you could see that she would like suppress any feelings of like any like feelings of anger about her past or towards the Borg or anything. Like she's
Hmm.
always been very like logical and forward thinking, even if it's something emotional involved. So to see her grow as like a more human character later here, and then losing her adoptive son and like dealing with that type of rage and being like reconnecting through some very painful emotions to her humanity is something I'm looking forward to seeing explored.
Yes, definitely. Because I can definitely see a lot more humor in season two, especially with Q being
Mm-hmm.
around.
Oh
Because
yeah.
because I know there was some humor in this first season of Picard, but not a lot. It was very,
Yeah.
very
A
heavy on
lot
the drama,
darker.
a lot darker. There was a lot more drama. But I think with Q being in there, I think there's going to be a sense of more like lightheartedness a little bit,
Yeah.
uh, which I'm hoping that happens because I mean, granted, Picard and Discovery are could be considered very dark, in terms of like, the drama and that kind of thing. Granted, there's some humor in both, but not a lot. And then we got Lower
Yeah.
Decks, which is just a plain out flat out comedy.
Yeah.
But definitely with guarding that, it's going to be exciting to see. Maybe we'll get the interim too, a little bit of the time travel thing, a little bit of the interim between the end of Nemesis and the beginning of Picard. Who knows? Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll get a lot more different time
I'd like
period.
to see a lot more transition of that since Nemesis is such a not well liked movie. And
Hmm.
it's nice to see them kind of culminate off of that and be like, but hey, it's still a really important plot point, even if you didn't like the movie. Because like a lot of people I met that watched Picard were like, when did this ever happen? And it's like, well, there's this movie called Nemesis that nobody likes. If you want to watch it, you sure can. And there's this doctor named Maddox that pops up every now and then. That should have been a shout out to in our previous episode of someone I'd maybe like to see more because of how much he's obsessed with Data. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
should definitely seen a little bit more of him, maybe. Especially, but like, I wonder how he feels about someone like Seven, like Seven of Nine being partially Borg. And how do you feel about Borg technology? How do you feel about, all this android work? Like,
Hmm.
it's definitely another character to creep on. But I just want to see a lot more development between those two lines of, or like two big events, and moving beyond those and like what that looks like in between.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see about that. And in that bus picture, you notice that Jerry Ryan doesn't have any of the prosthetic makeup on it. So I know that she's time traveled in the past. In an episode of Voyager, they cloaked her eyepiece area. So maybe there's some kind of technology now where they just do the same kind of thing. It's be interesting to see what happens there. She's gonna be fully human to everyone else, but maybe to everyone that she sees, but maybe to Raffi, she's still in her Borg regalia. Who knows? I mean, I'm looking forward to that dynamic a little bit, that relationship, because it kind of like blossomed in the last two episodes of Picard season one. I'm kind of curious to know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen, because I mean, personally, I think that's gonna be the first female same-sex relationship in
Yeah.
Star Trek, Raffi and Seven, and then we got the male one in Stamets and Culber in Discovery. So I think that's gonna be the first female one, same-sex couple. So that's why I'm hoping for at least.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's gonna be an interesting season. We don't know when it's gonna be released. I hope it will be like the first one in 2022. Um, I mean now because I have a feeling it's gonna go like I have a feeling it's gonna go like this. Like I'll mention it again. It's gonna be Lower Decks, Prodigy, Discovery. Now because of I say Discovery gonna be last in 2021 is because if in case you haven't noticed that they are now as of this recording, they're on a 2-week hiatus because a person associated with production had an offset COVID exposure and they shut down production for 2 weeks. So that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be Lower Decks on August 6th, then Prodigy comes right after that, then Discovery, then Picard Season 2,
Yep.
and then Strange New Worlds after that. So that's what I'm thinking is going to be at least a whole kind of like, because I know that Lower Decks and Prodigy and Picard are all 10 episode seasons, and then Discovery is probably going to be 13, and then Strange New Worlds is going to be 10, I think. So you got like at least 30-40 weeks of Trek starting in August and going all the way probably until April of next year. Is just Trek right after the other. That's one thing I like about this new era of Trek is because during the 90s we had 3 shows going at one point. We had 2 shows going at one point together. We had DS9, we had DS9 and Voyager, we had TNG and Voyager and DS9 at the same time. And it was a conflict there, because you'd be watching TNG on one night and then DS9 another night, that kind of thing, or TNG would be on like a prime time and DS9 would be on like late at night, which happened a lot here in the Twin Cities actually.
Yeah.
It was like on like they had like a marathon going on. I remember when I was a kid, there was like a DS9 marathon that was like from like 11 o'clock at night all the way until like 4 in the morning. So, and then it was like old episodes from like seasons 3, 4, and whatever 5.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see that. I mean, and then we got Voyager on there somewhere. It was somewhere like that, and then you had movies going at the same time. So that's what I'm thinking is gonna. I'm glad this new era, like they understand that. I know the franchise fatigue is a very real possibility.
Yeah.
That happened before, because you got like but you got other. I mean, we're trying to like Star Trek is trying to be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and with adding a bunch of their shows on their streaming service, Disney Plus. Same with Star Wars and stuff like that. I think that's gonna be a great way to like let's keep Trek going, but let's just release one season at a time instead of like here's Prodigy on this night. It would be released one episode week per week on this night, and then and Prodigy, and then like that kind of thing on one other night, and that kind of thing. I'm glad it's just going like one after the other in terms of seasons and stuff like that. So that's what I'm really happy for what Paramount Plus people are playing, the powers that be at Paramount Plus. They understand that they don't want to overload the public with a bunch of Trek content, but they don't.
Otherwise it could just be overwhelming to keep up.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just saying like every 10 or so weeks you get a new season of a existing show, or in the case of like Prodigy and Strange New Worlds, brand new a premiere of a new series. So so that's why I'm thinking that's why I think it's going to go. It's just Lower Deck starting on August 6th, and you go all the way until next April. In terms of like, episodes being released and stuff like that. So it's like 40 weeks of new Star Trek, which is fantastic. So, and we'll definitely be talking about it once one of them starts, we'll definitely be talking about it. So, yeah. So I think it's going to like, do you have any predictions? I know I've been like rambling about it.
I don't have a lot of expectations. I have a really hard time like trying to like predict what might happen, because I feel like there's just so many different things that could happen, and I'm always just kind of like excited to see what happens. I don't mind if things are spoiled for me, but I'm one of those people where I'm like, I don't know how much I'm trying to hope for a certain dynamic or a certain storyline. It's just mostly excitement about getting to see the characters again and what the tone might be, which I think, like season 2 will probably be a little lighter for Picard, and just having other shows going alongside that, because there's so much other production happening for Star Trek too, that it's mostly just trying to keep up with that. Like, I'm trying to keep my mind clear and ready for all of it, to just like be able to watch it all and keep up with it, because it's going to be a lot. Like, once things are all kind of falling together on the same type of timelines, like new shows, it's like, oh, I gotta watch it all. Like, I can't just leave it. Like, I did that for a while where I just didn't watch Picard or Discovery for a long time, and it caught up to me, because I'm like hearing things happening and I'm like, no, I'm like, I haven't seen that yet, but I guess now I know. So I want to make sure I want to keep up with this.
Totally, it makes total sense. Yeah, I mean, I understand, but I like to speculate because it makes me like, because I'm a creative person. So, so I like to be like, oh, I mean, I'll be gladly eating crow if I am wrong, but about Picard, or what's going to happen, but in the season, because when I did my old Star Trek podcast, when Discovery was the brand new Trek at the time, and I did 3 episodes about Discovery Season 2, because there was like predictions about Season 2. I did like 3 of those, because as the season got closer and closer to the start of the season, I'd always refined my predictions, because that, because I know that eventually it fell into place all the season, what was going to happen, that kind of thing. Like, we all thought that the Red Angel life form was actually a life form, not Michael Burnham. So at one point, I mean, I did, I thought this was spore life form, the spore drive's life forms, the Mycelial network spore drive life forms that lived in the Mycelial network. I thought they were the ones who were causing the Red Angel signals, when in reality it was Michael Burnham. So but and then I remember people thinking, oh, is this going to be the Iconians and stuff like that? Are we actually going to see the Iconians? And he never did, obviously, but but I love to speculate, because it's just my nature as a creative
I think if
person.
anybody's into like writing, like you'd said, you'd like written things before for like fan fiction stuff for Star Trek. I feel like that's a big part of it, because I don't write anything like that, but I'm always interested in hearing what writers have. But I think someone who has passion as just being a writer, that's definitely something you want to do, being like, what would I write if I was in that chair? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how would I have done this? What do I think might happen? Or how might they write this to like have an exciting plot point?
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned at the top of this episode, other actors have made cryptic tweets. You mentioned like Michael Dorn and LeVar Burton and stuff like that. LeVar Burton says maybe he'll appear in season two. Maybe he'll
Yeah.
maybe he'll appear in Picard. Um,
Yeah, he basically gave the answer of, it wouldn't be weird if I showed up. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh, okay. Like,
yeah, and I wish Geordi did appear in season one because Hugh was murdered, but get some closure from Geordi, obviously, because Geordi is the one who named him.
yeah.
So it would have been interesting to see at least Geordi get some closure, for Hugh, that kind of thing. That would have been nice to see. But I mean, if it didn't serve the story, it didn't serve the story. But that's probably why he didn't appear. But I mean, I can imagine Riker returning again in season two because he appeared in season one. Probably, I can see Jonathan Frakes doing it again, playing Riker again. I'm not so sure about
Yeah.
Marina Sirtis because in the last couple of months she's relocated back from Los Angeles back to the UK where she's originally from. So I'm not sure if she'll be returning again as Deanna Troi, but who knows?
Yeah.
It
It all depends with like COVID and everything going on, like what
yeah,
their timeline even looks like as they're filming and everything. So
yeah, and we know we had a delay in the start of production of season two, and that was probably because Patrick Stewart needed to get fully vaccinated first. It probably more than likely was because of that, because because the other cast members now have gotten their COVID shots. I know Jerry Ryan has gotten her full vaccination shots, that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what the time, because I know they're working very, very slowly, at least the ones in live action, because
yeah.
because of the pandemic, working in pods, that kind of thing. And unfortunately, it's caused a delay in production of the season 4 of Discovery, which is unfortunate. But hopefully, they'll get back on schedule. But that's why I'm hoping for that kind of thing. That's probably why it was delayed in production of season 2 of Picard, was because they wanted to get Patrick Stewart fully vaccinated first, because he was in the high risk category.
Yeah.
Because the man's 80 years old. But
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he probably can't do half the stuff.
Yeah.
He probably can't do
He's like an amazing health though.
Yeah, he is. But he is an amazing health for an 80-year-old. I mean, granted, but I know he can't probably do half the stuff he did like 20, 25 years ago when he did like Next Generation or something like that. Some of the minor stunts he did as Picard in Next Generation and stuff like that. I don't think he can do that now, but
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. I'm not trying to be ageist or anything like that, but it's just because the man's 80
the
years
realities of keeping him safe and respecting that too. So
yeah. So that's what I'm thinking, is that's all I have to say about Picard. Yeah, because other than that, it's going to be an exciting season. I think it will be. I mean, especially who knows, because we know we got Brent Spiner returning back as Dr. Alton Indigo Soong.
Yep.
Yep. So somehow you'll be there. Or like that. We won't get dated again. I know that. But we know we had a cryptic tweet about a couple weeks ago from Michael Dorn.
Yeah.
And it was, he said he had been recruited back to Starfleet. Well, they officially said it wasn't going to be for anything related to any of the shows, but we know the producers of the shows have thrown us off before.
Yep.
Throw us off the scent. Throw you off the scent.
Yeah,
But
so I'm like, it could be.
yeah, exactly. It still could be. I mean, granted, right now it's because of a game called Star Trek Legends, which is on Apple Arcade.
Yep.
He is the first Star Trek actor to do voice acting for that show, for that game. He plays Worf in that show, in that game. So, but like I said, they're probably saying no, he's not. But then they're probably just saying to say that to throw everyone off the scent.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly.
so I think Worf could appear in Picard somehow, and I hope we get to see the Enterprise E somehow.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it since Nemesis. I mean, I was hoping for it to appear in the finale of Picard Season 1. It didn't happen.
Just to be destroyed. Just so we don't watch it get destroyed. Huh?
Yeah, because
Just like every other Enterprise.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, I think that's about wrapping up here. Any final thoughts?
No, just I'm excited to hear predictions and more leaks or more tweets. I'm pumped to see what people have to say about it, or
Yep.
what people are hoping for, or what they're not hoping for. So
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So until next time, take care and live long and prosper.
live long and prosper.